Welcome to the overview of Expression Encoder 2. I'm Charles Finkelstein.
And I'm James Clark.
And we represent the Expression video team. Again, we're delighted that you came to join us this early Friday morning after a late night of partying. Keep in mind that the session is going to be recorded so you can play it back numerous times for your pleasure and enjoyment and send it to your friends through your social networks. We'd love to keep the session interactive. Feel free to ask questions, and if you don't have an opportunity to ask it into the microphone, that means it won't be recorded into the archive. We'll remember to repeat your question. Here's our agenda for today. I'll give you a brief introduction for those of you who are not familiar with the Expression Encoder 2, and then most of the session will be demonstrations versus PowerPoint things. I have to do the obligatory show of hands. How many of you are familiar with Expression Encoder 1? Most of you. Very good. Thank you very much. Expression Encoder 2 is a product we've been working feverishly on. We've been taking a lot of your feedback. One of the things that you've asked for is to make it a standalone product and not just a feature of Expression Media. So it is available, it will be available as a standalone product as part of the Expression Studio 2 line. Almost self-evident why we made the product. Number one, it's quick and easy. It's one of the easiest, quickest things to make very high-quality, interactive Silverlight media content. So bottom line, for increasing ROI, in fact, I'm curious, how many people here focus more on the business side of things? A few of you. Very good. Many of you, actually. So we hope you'll appreciate the dollars and cents you'll save with this product. How many of you here are designers this morning? Okay, we also made the product for you because you may not be an encoding expert, but we make it fairly easy to use some of the preset settings. And of course, it has the same look and feel as the Expression Encoder or Expression Studio. So it has a very good integration. How many of you are compressionists in this room? A few compressionists as well. And how many of you are other? Okay, can you just shout out what that other might be, please? Developer. Trainer. Project manager. Okay, good. We've made the product for you too. So basically, we made Expression Encoder 2 to enable anyone to produce interactive Silverlight media experiences. It should be fairly quick and easy, but it has the knobs and dials that the most serious compressionist wants. What kinds of things can you import with it? Most popular audio and video formats. Things like QuickTime, WMV, AVI. In fact, anything you install what we call a direct show filter, that's a direct show codec, will work on the machine if it's a well-formed filter. You'll take a look at the easy yet powerful interface for authoring experience, which we've improved for 2.0, or for 2, that is. It's a live encoding experience is also available, and you can put interactive events on there, and that will be clear in the demonstration. So I'm just going to go over these bullet points briefly, because I know you prefer seeing the product in the demonstration. We've worked feverishly. Our man Brian, who actually works remotely in Connecticut, built a whole new imaging pipeline. And that enables things like cuts editing. How many of you wanted to just take that one little piece out in the middle of the video, like in the training session that you're building where the trainer sneezes or knocks their coffee over, but everything else is a good take? We've built this for you. And because that training session was an hour long, you told us that you didn't want to recompress the whole thing and waste time and lose quality. You just want it to be stitched together right at those cuts. So we built that in there as well. And some of you have told us that you have an inventory of thousands of WMVs. How many of you have a big inventory of WMVs already? A few of you in this room. And you just want to rebrand it. You want to put like a new leader and a new trailer, just stitch it on, not spend the countless hours re-encoding that, and also not lose quality. We have these capabilities in this product for you. Other things, how many people like to burn in your brand name in the video itself? Okay. Version 1 was just images only. Version 2, you can do animation, whether it's vector graphic XAML, videos, or even videos with alpha channel. We'll show you that as well. Interactive media authoring, event authoring. How many of you like to put things like closed captions in? Many people like closed captions. How many of you like to put advertising in? To make money, yes. Many, many people. Okay, we'll show you how that goes. And another thing, many of you have seen some of the great stuff going on with Silverlight 2. Our encoder has an intelligence now that the players that we ship in the box that you could use to, we call skin your videos, they have intelligence in them. And we'll show you that in a demonstration. The player understands the intelligence. For example, when one of these players knows how to do a user poll or knows how to do certain types of advertisings, once you install it, it tells the encoder, I can do a user poll, and it makes it easy for you to author it. We're going to show you our new video gallery player and a great workflow with Expression Blend. Just summarizing, we're also built on the new technology, the Microsoft VC1 encoder SDK. We're one of the first applications out there, which gives us better performance, scales across multi-processors, multi-core, it's optimized, and you get better quality, same file size, better quality. And we threw in some improved pre-processing. How many of you get interlaced sources, for example? Yeah, so we threw in more capabilities for interlacing choices and some very special technology, which we'll talk about in a minute. Many knobs and dials for those of you who really want to get the best quality possible. And finally, most of you in this room probably want to have an object model of the encoder itself. So you get to instantiate the encoder on servers, program it in your favorite .NET language, C#, Python, Ruby. You've heard that message before. Okay, who wants to see more slides? Who wants to see demos? Let's see, slides, demos. All right, let's go to demos. So let's see, James?
Yes, sir.
We just got a request from our customer. Is your microphone on, by the way?
I think so, yes.
Okay, good.
Is my mic on?
Yes, it is.
Good.
Yes. We just got a request from our customer. They want to do a video portal. And it's got to have, it's going to do things like movie trailers or TV shows, something like a gallery player. They've seen some things out there on the web like this. But our customer is very particular on quality. The quality has to be very good because it's showing their movies that they've spent millions and millions of dollars on. Has to be quick and easy. And they want to customize it with their brand name. What can we do for them, James?
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Switching to machine any moment. Okay.
So here we are. This is our new interface. And as Charles mentioned, the first thing that we're concerned with here is quality. So we'll go through and show you some of the new capabilities as we go through, but we'll start off just talking about the encoding side. Ben Wagner actually did a great session for those that are more interested in the kind of fine-grained settings and how to apply them, and I think those are available online. But for the kind of novice or for the person that's merely wanting to just get great quality without trying too hard, we ship a bunch of presets in the box, and we try and target Silverlight experiences for the web, and also devices and other profiles. So for the high level, we can go and pick a preset. If we want to kind of drill in a bit further, we can then go and expand this up here and tweak some of the settings. So for those that have specific requirements that it has to be delivered in a certain way at a certain bit rate, easy to customize that. We mentioned at the beginning that we'd improved our encoding in version 2. And one of the things we've done is to integrate this new SDK for making VC1. So again, for those that don't really want to drill into the knobs and dials, but just want to kind of express an intent to the system, we give some presets where you can say, I want to go like a balanced good, or I'm in a hurry, please go much faster, or I've got a lot of time and I want better quality. For those that want to really drill in and get right under the hood, we also have these other settings, which may be a little daunting for some. For others, they'll be delighted to see these.
Well, James, what if some of our non-compressors want to learn what some of these things really do?
Well, for those people, we actually put Ben Wagner in the box. He's the expert on this stuff, and we've got some pretty good tooltips to try and kind of explain and show where these will be useful, what scenarios. So some good improvements there. We've added some more codecs. So on the audio side, we've added WMA Pro, and we've also added some more encoding modes. So for those that are familiar with Windows Media Encoder, there are certain modes in there, such as Quality VBR, that we didn't have in version 1. We've added those. The final thing on the encoding side is how aspect ratio is handled. We always had the ability to deal with aspect ratio, but in version 1 we kind of made it a little bit harder than it should have been to get the aspect ratio right. So we now have a mode which is the default, which basically just makes the aspect ratio correct. It looks at whether the pixels are non-square, it looks at the aspect ratio of the source, and it just does the right thing. So we won't dwell too much on that for now. I want to now move on and talk about the output side. So what we've done here in this example, Charles is very demanding in his requirements. We wanted to make a gallery of some movie trailers, and you can see if we look down at the media list in the bottom, we've got these queued up already. We've set up our compression, and so the final steps are to put together the Silverlight experience.
Well, I wonder what would the experience look like?
That's a very good question.
Why don't we take a look at what the output is first?
So this is one of our new gallery players. In version 1, we didn't actually ship any of these in the box. A gallery player is really an experience that makes it easy to switch between multiple videos. And you can see on the right-hand side, I've got the various clips listed down here. I've got various other controls, and this is all rendered nicely in Silverlight. So for those that haven't played with the tool, the experiences that we kick out are based on Silverlight. We provide all of the XAML, the HTML, the JavaScript, and we've actually got a fairly extensive base class library written in JavaScript that provides all of the functionality, such as volume up, down, mute, and the basic stuff.
Okay, so let's say I'm in the role of the customer now. That's a pretty good template you got there, Clark. But I need it to reflect our brand a little better. What can you do for me? It's going to take you a couple days to get that done?
Let's see how this is going to work. We'll come back to the product. We won't close the tab. So I've got my experience queued up. The first thing that we need to just briefly mention is that, as you saw in the experience, this is a gallery player, and as such, for each clip we have what we call a poster frame, which is really a representative frame that the gallery uses. So on all of these source clips, I've basically said, pick the best frame, and this goes and finds a non-black frame that's not a solid color that it thinks is representative. We could go in and pick a custom one if we wanted to. So that's great. So now I want to pick a template. And one of the things that we've done in version 2 is made a little real-time preview of the template. So we actually now host Silverlight within our application, and you can see a preview.
What if Clark, what if we wanted to make our own templates?
We'll get to that, Charles.
All right, yeah.
So here's another one, and you can see it is actually interactive. So if we do build these richer playback experiences, you can actually get a nice preview. As Charles says, what if we want to do something custom? Well, first of all, let's pick our gallery player. And this is hot off the press. We're working hard still on finalizing our templates, and we've got some great designers working on these. So I'm going to select the template, and I'm now just going to click the encode button. Now, what we just saw is something that is also quite nice. In previous versions of the product, every time I clicked the encode button, the system went and just said, OK, I'm going to encode everything, make everything for you. So in this example where we've got a whole bunch of source clips, we'd be sitting here for a little time waiting each time that we wanted to preview something. So in version 2, we have a feature called partial rebuild. And this basically looks at what changes I make to my settings. If I don't make any changes, it only does what's necessary. So if I add markers to the video, it will actually go and write those markers into the header. If I create other script commands, it'll do the same thing. If I change my XAML output, again, it'll just regenerate that part. So it gives us the ability to have a very rapid kind of preview. So if I wanted to change my mind and pick a different template here, we can come down to a different one. And again, have an instant preview. So that's cool. We'll go back to our first choice. And we'll now talk about template parameters. One of the first things that we heard from users is that they don't want the video to start playing as soon as the web page loads. You may have multiple things on the page. Why is it playing automatically? So we've added template parameters to version 2. These allow us to do things like say, I don't want the video to start playing. I don't even want the video to start downloading. I may have a whole bunch of videos on the page. I don't want to start consuming bandwidth, willy-nilly. Let's wait for the user to actually click on something. So I can turn those off. I can also change the stretch mode. So the default way that the stretch mode works is it basically takes the skin and makes it fill the browser page. We actually, in this case, want to say don't do that. Don't resize. Be a fixed size that the designer has picked. So we can make those changes. We can change the background color. And if you're a template author, you can actually expose your own parameters. So you may want to expose like an overall color parameter that would allow us to take the skin and make it orange. As a template designer, you can absolutely do that. So let's take a quick look. We've turned off the autoplay, the auto cue. Again, with partial rebuild, it's instant. And we can now see that we have a play button in the middle of the video here, which if I click on it, it actually plays. So some much better, much richer default functionality. But as Charles said, we want to maybe tweak some stuff. We may want to add some branding. We may want to adjust things. So what we'll do now is have a look at another new feature called Edit and Blend. So we can basically now take any of the default templates and very quickly pick up a copy of that and edit it and blend. So we'll say, edit a copy. We can give it a name. And here's our template. So we'll just resize the window down so we can see what's happening behind. And go to our properties. So a couple of things that we want to change here. The first thing is, let's just hit F6 to switch views. Give me Windows all right. So the first thing that we wanted to do was to adjust the start button, I think, Charles.
Oh, it was too big for me as the customer.
Too big or too small, or it was a little bit invisible.
Yeah.
So we'll come down here to our start button. And we'll just uncollapse it so that it's visible. And you can see here it is rendered in the middle. If we select the path, we can now come in and easily change the color.
Use our brand color, that nice shade of orange.
Brand color,
yes.
of course. So what's really nice about this feature is that it's actually pretty interactive. If you just take a look over what's happening in Encoder behind, if I come over to the File menu and say Save, immediately Expression Encoder picks that change up and is now ready to apply it to the video. So we'll do, before we actually go back there and do a preview, we'll just change the size of this a little bit, and we can add some text. So the cool thing with this is it's super easy to go into your skin and actually enhance it, add more graphics, more animations, tweak it, change it, and obviously in the future with Silverlight 2, even add very rich behaviors, and we'll show you that in a minute. So we'll set this guy back to collapsed, and now we'll add some text. So check that I'm in the right place, draw out a text box. And I'm actually going to be a little bit partisan here and go, can't see what I'm doing. Oops. Oh, no.
We all use 1920 screens in the office. It's hard to do on these smaller resolution sizes. So let's put our brand in there, Clark.
Powered by Encoder 2.
Yeah, that's it. That's our brand.
So again, as soon as I hit save, this will load in. And we'll make that red because we like red. We'll move it so that it's on the green background. And you can see, very interactive. So if we pop back in and re-encode, again, with partial rebuild, we'll immediately see those changes. So there's our new bigger red play button and the Powered by Encoder 2. So for those of you that tried to do this in version 1, it was somewhat more painful than this. This is now a very, very smooth workflow and great for designers. So hopefully we fulfilled our creative brief here, Charles.
Very good, very good. Any questions on this demonstration so far? Want to keep it interactive? We're here for you. Okay, some of you developers out there who may not have tried it with Encoder 1 might be saying, what does it take to build your own template from scratch? You might be asking that. We have capabilities. I believe we have some information published somewhere about building.
We do, and we're going to kind of enrich that as we go forward in time.
And if you build it well-formed and put it in the correct directory, it'll show up in the drop-down list and should be able to edit and blend. All right, let's go back to the slides. So no questions on that demo, because we're doing quite good on time. Yes, sir.
One quick question about the
So the question about the gallery player is, are the videos in some kind of collection?
Correct, they are. You could, so all of the functionality we're showing, we'll talk about this at the end, but all of the functionality, including gallery players and multiple inputs, are available from the object.
And just in case that didn't, I don't know if getting the mic on the archive on the room there, but the question was, basically, when you're building a gallery player, from a development standpoint, can I control those parameters, the thumbnails, all the different videos in the object model? And as James said, yes. Yes is the answer. We like yes. Okay, James. Customer came to us this time. Only I answered the phone, so I guess I have to do it for them. And they asked for a DVD-like web experience. Things that flow like chapter points and where they can seek and immediately render their video screen. But they said they want to have interactivity. They want to have interactivity like ads happening. They want closed caption because it's a requirement where they are. They also said they want to have rich branding. They're even asking us if we can do alpha channel burn-in watermarks on the video. And then they're even asking us if we can do interactive user polls. That sounds like a pretty tall order, folks. Might be a lot of code development. Oh, and then, get this, the customer said in the last batch of videos we sent, they saw lines in them. And they looked it up on Wikipedia and found out that was called interlacing artifacts. They don't want any of that. So, how do we do this kind of thing? Let's go, let's play the experience first, shall we? Which one is this? Is it this one here?
That one there, yes.
All right, so we're going to start by showing you the halfway output of this. So the customer wants something that looks like this. Oh, and by the way, the clip I'm about to show you.
Who is the customer, Charles?
The customer is Bill Gates and Ray Ozzie.
Fantastic.
Yeah. How many of you have seen the Bill Gates last day video from CES? Yeah, and if you haven't, it's actually posted all over the web. All right, so here's one of our favorite clips. We want to show it to you, and I'll just show you some of the interactivity while it's happening. There's our brand coming up.
Trust what you do.
Of course, we'll miss him in the daily brainstorming meetings. He's always been an innovator, really inspiring all of us to think creatively about the future. And we'll be the first to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, absolutely. Microsoft Bob, his idea, all his.
Like I said, we've been planning for this. But he's still Bill, and we'll miss seeing him in the hallway every day. Hey buddy, see you tomorrow at the board meeting.
There's our branding trailer at the end. And again, here's the interactive markers they want with thumbnails.
To give credit where credit is due.
You can turn that on and off.
Oh, absolutely.
So that was most of what they asked for. And how do we build that, you might be asking yourself right now. So how many of you are familiar with the notion of an encoder job that we can open up from Expression 1? Expression 1, you can save all of the settings in any of these panels, up and down, anywhere. And you can basically save it as a job file. So you can open it up again and again. So for designers that need to be working with a common set of parameters, developers, you want to preload some code. And also we have a notion of presets, which I'll show you how we apply just a moment now. So we've imported a video here. You know, we did import. And of course, here's all the crazy files that we import, plus anything you have direct show filters. So that includes QuickTime, of course. And one of the things that we brought in with the video were the captions. Now this is because of WMV/VC1. By the way, how many of you know that the new WMV is pretty much an implementation of VC1? Did you know that? Yeah, there seems to be some confusion around the messaging. People say, what's this VC1 and what does WMV have to do with it? They're pretty much the same, the new version. Anything else to add to that, James?
Nope.
Nope, okay, good. So we imported this video. The video came with these captions that somebody put in the video. That's one of the beauties of VC1. In fact, we could change the location of any of these captions or change them without re-encoding the video as well. But I won't get into that now. We'll just take a look at the metadata tab and just show you here where the captions are. If I want to, we can add any others. Just put the playhead, hit add. We can import things like SAMI files, industry standard, and others for doing closed captions. But why linger on that one? Let's take a look at how did we get those chapter markers in there. Of course, we can hit add a chapter point here, give it a value, tell it to do a keyframe. And a keyframe means it'll be a full frame of video so that when the playhead seeks to it, it renders right away. Because we don't want to have an unhappy customer and have them wait. And here we click to generate a thumbnail to make those chapter points. But instead of doing it manually, I'm going to use a preset to import the ones that we've already done for this project. And again, you could do this if you're doing syndicated video for different brands and so on. And I believe that we named this, what did we name this one? Markers Final 2. That's a catchy name. And notice that it populated the timeline with those things. What was the other thing that the customer asked for? Didn't they ask for some kind of branding front and back? I think they did. So let's see here. Let's use a preset again. In this case, we're going to put in the leaders and trailers. Again, we could browse for them manually. Notice that we have new icons on the timeline. The international symbol for add a leader or add a trailer. And some more international symbols we'll be discussing in a moment. So what did I just add to the beginning? Gently. Hey, look at that. It's an animation. Now, is this a video, folks? Does anybody know what we might be looking at here? XAML, that's right. The XAML, what do you think it was created in? Which product? Not Visual Notepad, no. Expression Blend, and design, of course. And the trailer that we've added here happens to be our video. So you can use images, videos, and XAMLs for leaders and trailers. And that's pretty much how we created that part. Now, there was one other item that we needed to put in there, and it was an overlay. So let's see if we have a preset for an overlay. Now, again, if you're doing syndicated videos, you can apply, and by the way, these presets, we can apply everything at once. I'm just doing it in phases for the sake of the demonstration. Some people, like our friend Frank up front, is a very smart guy, but we have to deliver things to him in slow motion here. All right, so which one? XAML overlay final. Thank you. I know.
Click on that.
Click on this. Oh, yeah. So notice that we have this XAML overlay, and it's a bit...
Be the first to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, absolutely. Microsoft Bob, his idea.
And it looks like it's a bit animated. So you might be saying, that looks like it's pretty hard to build, Charles. I don't know if I could build that myself. You might be saying that. How hard is it to build, James?
We should ask Brandon, shouldn't we? One of our great PMs put this together for us.
Yeah, so a PM joined our team a few months ago, and he didn't know how to use Blend, actually. He was a user of the Adobe Creative Suite. And he built this for us. I think it took him, what, just a few hours? Yeah, so this
Hopefully not that long.
Hopefully not that long. We'll go back and increase his morale. Okay, so anyway, so that was, we won't get into the details of how quickly and easy Brandon built it, but now we have this the XAML overlay. But I think the customer asked us for using an alpha channel because they like the pretty lady that points to their logo. So let's go back and browse for a file. This is another way that you can do it. Instead of presets, you can browse for the files. What did we call that one? We called it this one here. No, the alpha. Right, of course, the one that's called alpha. And let's play it while
All his.
Adjust the opacity.
Like I said, we've been planning for this. But he's still Bill, and we'll miss seeing him in the hallway every day.
So it's actually not taking us very long to deliver what the client asked for, James, but I think they even stretched us further. They were like, I want to do interactive user polls and ads. Can you help me out on this?
Let's see what we can do. So what we'll take a look at now very quickly is some Silverlight 2 goodness that we've been working on. We're not shipping any Silverlight 2 templates in the box with Expression Encoder 2. In fact, the studio's just been announced, the version 2 studio, and it's due to be delivered sometime in the not-too-distant future, I believe.
Thanks for remembering that.
And that will be ahead of the release of Silverlight 2. So our plan is we've put the hooks into the product to enable us to deliver some Silverlight 2 templates at a later date. And this, what I'm about to show you now, is a preview of what we'll be doing. So I've got a version of the same thing, and I'm going to come to my Output tab and pick a template that I had some fun building. And this is called User Poll Player. So this is kind of fundamentally similar to what we've been seeing, but it's actually implemented in Silverlight 2. So if we just open that up and have a look, instead of a bunch of JavaScript and a bunch of loose SAML, what we now have is some client-side code, and this is a ZAP file. So for those of you that have been to any of the Silverlight sessions, you'll know that now when we compile our project, we actually create Silverlight DLLs. Everything is embedded into this ZAP and then loaded in the browser in Silverlight. So we have our client-side code. We've also added some other things, and this starts to get a little bit kind of mind-bending. But as well as having client-side code, we've also got server-side code here. If we look in our app.code, we'll see a bunch of things. And I've actually defined a web service. And this web service is going to talk to a database. The database is also in here. So in app.data, we see the SQL database. So this is really sort of a proof of concept. And in the real world, if you were doing this kind of thing, you'd probably use some sort of cloud-based database. And we actually announced yesterday SQL Server cloud-based storage. So I look forward to retrofitting that to this at some point. Let's take a look at how it works, and then we'll go and just pop into Visual Studio and see how we made it. So I've picked the template here. And what I want to do is when...
future. And we'll be the first to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, absolutely. Microsoft Bob, his idea.
All right, so we think it's really funny to be talking about Microsoft Bob. How many of you have heard of Microsoft Bob? And this is basically a genuine... everybody's heard of it. You know, I went on eBay last night, and you could buy it for only $139. It's an innovative product. But our client is saying, you know, because they want to sell this on eBay, they need to poll their audience, and they need to ask them how many people have heard of Bob.
So what we're going to do is a little interactive poll. We're going to ask the user, have you heard of Microsoft Bob? So we picked our experience. We had a look at what makes that up, what makes that template up. We saw that. And when I now come to my script commands list, you'll see I've got a whole bunch of new commands. So in addition to caption, which is like a base capability, we've also got one called show poll. So I'm going to insert a show poll script command here, and I'm going to type in have you heard of MS Bob into the parameter field. So what it's going to do is, just after Craig Mundy makes his pronouncement, it's going to hit this marker, and the video is actually going to pause, and we're going to pull up a Silverlight 2 user control that will actually allow us to do some data entry. What we'll then do is we'll go forward in time and actually show the results of the poll. So again, we'll be making, from the Silverlight running in the browser, we'll be making a web service call to the database to get the results back, and then we'll draw them in a fairly primitive graph. So again, I'll add another script command here, and this one, again, defined in the template, poll results start. And we'll just copy this down. And then we'll move forward in time. And you'll notice that on the poll results one, I've got a red marker. And what this means is this script command is actually part of a pair of commands. So it's got a start and a stop. At the moment, I've only got a start. So it's basically saying, red, sorry, you need to finish this off. So we'll put in a poll results end. Whoops, did I change the... Oh dear, what have I done? I've broken it. Okay, sorry about this. It was all going way too well, wasn't it?
I think we should build spell check in our next version, because I always do typos. I think we may have a typo here. So by the way, James is also showing that if you delete and add any of these script commands, which you could think of for your Flash folks as a lot like cue points, you can change them, move them around in a file, in a video, and it's basically our quick partial rebuild. You don't have to rebuild the whole project. It's just simply placing these script commands in the header of the video or in the data stream, your choice, wherever you want to have them. So you could open up a project that was made 5 years ago using WMV and just change where your cue points are without having to rebuild a whole project of interactivity. So the question is, are the script commands being generated by the template that he's using? Yes and no. The template, as James is showing you, you can build in the intelligence in your template because the template is, in this case, it's a managed application, and it declares its capabilities. Yes, I can do captions. Yes, I can do this thing called a user poll. And if you can do a user poll, it'll show up in the dialog that he showed you in the drop-down. And you can say, I want to do a user poll start and end, which is where we believe we had a typo.
There we go.
Yeah. But the notion of the infrastructure of script commands, it's in the WMV VC1 file. But I also want to share with you, too, that if you save the output, if you save the log file, you get a whole XML list. It's like a playlist. So if you want to trigger based upon an XML playlist at the time you want something to trigger versus using the actual video file itself, you can do that, too.
Okay, so I've managed to unfumble myself. You'll notice another feature in the timeline is that we now group these things together. So if you're actually mixing different types of interactivity, like captions and this kind of thing, it's now much easier to have those separated out on multiple tracks. So we'll hit encode. And with partial rebuild, what it was just doing was actually just rewriting those script commands. So the video was already encoded, and as we discussed earlier, if you add markers or script commands, then they get rewritten. So let's see what happens.
Trust what you do.
Of course, we'll miss him in the daily brainstorming meetings. He's always been an innovator, really inspiring all of us to think creatively about the future. And we'll be the first to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, absolutely. Microsoft Bob, his idea.
So when we hit that script command, the video pauses, and here's our poll. This is a pretty simple kind of proof of concept. I haven't put a lot of effort into it, but you can see I've used a user control, and I've used some of the new WPF form controls to provide my input. So I'm just going to say, yes, I have. I'll have to admit that I have. Now, when I click on the voting button, one of the other features of Expression Encoder 2 is that we now use the Microsoft Development Web Server at runtime. So the reason that the web service is running OK in this scenario is for that very reason. When I click on the vote button, it's actually going to cause the server to spin up and invoke the database. So it will actually take, the first time, it'll take a few seconds to happen. So at the moment, it's calling back to the server. And then there's our poll result. And so far, we've got one yes.
Like I said, we've been planning for this.
So if we were to step back in time and do
Microsoft
it again,
Bob, his idea.
and this time change our mind and say maybe.
All his.
Does that give you guys some ideas of things you can do?
Now we have a yes and a maybe. So it's kind of really working here, and I just want to spend a very few seconds showing you how I made that. So we'll hop over into Visual Studio, and the first thing we'll talk about is our bass player. I touched on this earlier. The bass player we actually built for our own purposes. We had all of these different visual skins, but we didn't want to have to keep rewriting the underlying functionality. We wanted to separate the code and the behavior from the look.
And can I ask a quick question? How many of you went to Ed Maya's session on building media Silverlight? Okay. So Ed Maya, and if you're watching this on the archives and you haven't seen the session, watch it on the archive. He shows you how you can write code directly to media element in Silverlight, which is nice, but that can get to be a bit tedious.
Right, so I mean, media element is very powerful, but it's really very much a graphics primitive like a rectangle. And if you want all the rich behavior like volume up, down, mute, play, pause, chapter points, captions, there's quite a lot of work involved. And actually, if we look here at this bass player, I think it's about 3,000 lines of code or so. So not an insignificant amount of work if you're just trying to build like kind of default experiences.
So we deliver the plumbing for you.
So we deliver the plumbing for you, as Charles says. What we're looking at here is actually a port of our technology, which for version 1 and for version 2 is all written in JavaScript. And this is a port to manage code, to C#. Now, one of the nice things with this is, in this case where we're building an experience and wanting to extend, we don't have to build all of the base behaviors, but we can inherit from this control and actually then add our own behaviors. So if we scroll down to our future player project here, you'll see I've built a thing called poll player. Poll player inherits from media player, so all of that goodness and richness in the base class is now coming over for free. And I just simply want to override the onMarker reached event. So just with one override, I can then come in and I can just look at what's being sent to me, and depending on what's in there, I can then do some magic to show the user control. So the user control is defined, I've got two of them. I've got a poll. I don't know if this will actually load or not, but this is a bunch of XAML. It's nicely separated out, so it's not mixed in with the basic player skin. And I can go and customize and use the new Silverlight controls.
By the way, I just want to compliment James. He pretty much coded this up just a few days before we left for the conference. I know he looks polished, professional, and composed, but he was coding away.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun making this work. So, I could go into Blend and actually style and edit that control far more than I've actually done here. But I think the nice thing, and the other thing that I toyed with trying to do is actually load the poll dynamically from another server. So one of the really cool things you can do is actually use the downloader to download, so from within this player, actually download a zap from another web server that could be providing that interactivity and not even have to change the project significantly. So then finally, over in the future template, I mentioned the database, and you can see here the database, and we can actually go in and look at that and see what the table is. The web service is here, and I was just basically using link to SQL to stuff those results into the database. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And I think the real message is, once we ship this new base player technology, it'll be really easy for people to kind of keep the basic experiences and extend them very easily.
So we have quite a few developers here in the room this morning. Do you have any questions on that? Well, want him to go back in Visual Studio and show you some objects or anything like that? Yes, what's the difference between a marker and a script command? All right, so the question is, what's the difference between a marker and a script command? That's a very good question. It's age-old from the beginning of WMV. You want me to take it or you want to take it?
So quite up to you. Shall I take it? A couple of differences. A marker doesn't allow you to have a string pair. So a marker just has a single string value and a time value. And markers can only live in the header of the file. Script commands are designed more for interactivity, and they can live in the header of the file or in their own stream. So we'll look a little bit later in the talk at how you can use these in a live encoding and streaming context, which you can't do with markers. And the second difference with a script command is that you have this pair. So you have like a type and then a parameter. So the type can be, show ad or, show closed caption. And then the second field is data.
Well done, James. Better than the explanation up on MSDN's website. Yes, sir, you had a question back there?
Good question.
The future player, is that shipping already?
It isn't shipping already. We literally did a kind of rapid porting exercise to get something to show for Mix. Our plan is, as I mentioned before, we won't be shipping any Silverlight 2 templates in Encoder version 2, but we will, subsequent to Silverlight 2 releasing, release some sort of template pack. And I'm sincerely hoping that we can get the source code of the base player out there into the public domain. So that's not a promise, but it's certainly a hope from my side.
Yeah, and there's a lot of possibilities. James just launched our new team blog recently. Anybody, by the way, see our new team blog? Thank you for coming to our team blog. We might post some innovations there. You'll never know what you're going to get on our team blog, but I expect that we're probably going to see some template-y things there. Any more questions on that? Okay. So remember there was this other thing that the client mentioned. They hated those lines, and Wikipedia told them that they were called interlacing artifacts. So to demonstrate that, we want to show you a clip that didn't make it into the Bill Gates' last day at work video. This is the office cat, the fictional office cat, that when it heard that it was going to be packed in a box to be moved out of the office, it went a little crazy and just jumped through the roof. Look at that. Did you guys see anything wrong with this video? Let's go. Let's scrub the timeline a little bit. The cat turns into a slinky. And for those of you not knowing a slinky, it's a wound spring toy that looks like a lot of lines. That's not good, James. Oh no, our client will be unhappy. But have no fear. We've given you. I try not to have no fear. We've given you more control over things called pre-processing. So we open up the tab here, and one of the things that shows up is deinterlacing that we could turn on and off. And let's force Bob, and this is, by the way, Bob in this case is not Microsoft Bob. It's actually the name of an algorithm for deinterlacing. And how many of you are familiar with our A/B compare feature, the before and after feature? Oh, wow. If you're not, you're going to have to try it. There's so many things you could do with A/B compare. In this case, we're going to show the before and after we apply this pre-processing. One of the other things you could do with A/B compare is when you're selecting your video profile that shows you the size of the output file, if you have a size versus quality issue, you could use A/B compare to help you to select which quality is good. But we won't show you that today unless we have time. I guess we can get into that later. So here's the before. Let me move this a frame to the left or so.
This is a bug that got fixed right before MIX.
I swear this bug was fixed.
I smell a regression.
It's a regression. All right, so we're one frame off between one side and the other. But see, on one side, the cat has many lines. Hey, the cat with many lines. And on the other side, the cat has no lines. Where's it jumping now?
I think this one's dead.
Yeah, okay. Let's try A/B compare. I'm going to use another algorithm. And this one is called Force Pixel Adaptive Top Field First. Sounds pretty complex, right? Actually, it is complex because it was done by the multiple PhDs we have in Microsoft Research. It's like an engine room of great thinkers. And so it improved upon, let's see, did the first one actually work? The first one didn't really work that well. But so what I'll point out here is I'm just having a great time with it. I'm going to be filing some bugs when I get back to Redmond, let me tell you.
Just hit play, see what happens.
Yeah, I'll hit play and see what happens. We'll do encoded 1, encoded 2. Hit play. Okay, so yeah, so one is frozen. Okay, that's an interesting bug. I've never seen that before. But one of the things you'll notice with encoded 2 is the cat no longer has any lines. And one of the things we wanted to show, had we not found that lovely bug that our great development team is going to be happy to fix, is that this line here, this baseboard, was full of edges in one version of the deinterlacing, and in the other one it smoothed it right out. That's pretty much what we wanted to show with that one. And now we can make the customer happy, and perhaps they'll choose to use the cat video. Any questions on that? Pre-processing? Anything like that? No? Let's go back to the slide deck. Okay. By the way, I want to give credit for making these great slides with the paper and the little drawing on the napkin kind of look to our marketing guy, David Syed, sitting up front. If you have questions about the product, ask him first and see if he can come up with the answer. He's a pretty smart guy, but I like to put him on the spot. Okay. Customer says we're going to have a live event. And it's going to go out to millions and millions of people. But they want to have multiple cameras and switch back and forth between cameras. And of course, they want to queue up a video. You know, they want to have their brand, and they want to have some other videos in there. Ads, for example. And they want to send triggers down the line while they're broadcasting the event. And these triggers could be for things like closed captioning, and they could be for things like, have you heard of Microsoft Bob type of interactive polls, or anything to monetize this event for advertising, for example. And then they want to save the webcast so that they can turn it into on-demand video later. And then they want to be able to post it to video blogs. So some of the needs are that we'll need to be able to edit it, because there might be things in the live that we just don't want to put in the archives. And this is going to be an hour long. And they're going to have to post it within 15 minutes. It's not enough time to encode it, so they're going to need smart compression. And of course, they're going to want to tweak the audio quality and settings and adjustment. And they want to post it to the Microsoft Silverlight streaming service, which was a great session by Remy up front. If you haven't, what's that? Oh, it's coming later. Oh, we'll send them to your session. So where is it when? It's 11:45 and 4501. Go see Remy. The name of the session is what now? Serving Silverlight apps with live streaming. With Silverlight streaming, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. Thank you. It's a really neat service, by the way. And I say that with an unbiased. So, hey, this is an interesting looking interface, James. Is this still the same product?
Yes.
This is what we call live mode. Same product. Bring up another interface. We have 4 cameras. These are actual, these are security cameras, so the quality of the video is going to be like a security, kind of grainy. They could also see in the dark. I don't know if we want to go through turning the lights off, but it's kind of fun using these cameras.
So what are we going to do, Charles?
Let's see. Let's do a live event right here from this room, and I'll be the talent.
Okay, so I'll just explain what we're going to do. We've got 4 cameras here, and we're actually using a great card from Winov, who's a company that manufactures hardware. We do support anything that has a direct show live source filter, but we're using a Winov card. They can do up to 8 streams with either analog or digital input, so great stuff there.
www.winnov as in Victor.com. Check them out.
So we have 4 live sources, and then we have 2 file sources. So the first one is just a JPEG or a PNG, I think, or it says SVG. That's interesting. Cool. Some color bars, and we're going to just basically start our broadcast with color bars. Then, right before we're going to start the event, we're going to queue up this video here, which is our Powered by Silverlight video. Then we've set up a rule that when this video finishes, it's automatically going to switch to live source 1, which will then be queuing Charles to do his bit. He's going to do some talking. We're going to send some live script commands, and then we're done, and we're going to take the archive. So, you know, in the real world of this, we would be publishing to a WMS server. So, you know, to get the stream out and to have scalability, we have the ability to do that. We can target WMS. In this case, we could also do a broadcast. So if we were targeting a small set of clients within an organization, we don't need the WMS server for that, but we support both. We're additionally archiving it to a file, as I mentioned. So we're actually encoding it on the fly, sending it to the wire, and sending it to a file on disk. So let's get part 1 underway.
Want to get going?
Chaz.
Okay.
Let's get going. So
well, let's tell the people. Okay, we're starting with color bars, telling them the event is about to start on time, precisely at 9:24 a.m. as scheduled.
I shall try not to get in camera, but it may be too hard. Okay, so you ready, Chaz? Let's cue this video up, and that's your cue point.
Okay, are we live? Is this thing working? Okay. Okay, so we're now at our live event, and we want to cue the people. We want to send the caption out. Welcome to MIX. Welcome to MIX, everybody. Okay, so I've got to make sure I'm looking at the right camera. He's switching cameras here. We're glad you've come today. Again, appreciate you waking up this early in the morning after a night of partying and gambling. And there was a lot of great sessions. Many of them overlapped at the same time. So don't forget to check out the session archives at visitmix.com. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Don't give up the day job, Chaz. So that could have been pushed out to Silverlight. We absolutely can stream it out. What we want to show now is how we can repurpose that very easily and make it available on demand. So I'm going to come out of live mode. And what happens is the file that we just created as an archive comes in nicely. So I'm just going to do Control-0 to make it actual size. And you'll notice that if we look up in the encoding profile, it's picked something called source profile. And what that means is we already compressed this once because we were compressing it live so that we could send it out and stream it. We now want to repurpose it. We don't actually want to re-encode it. We merely want to do some editing and then to take the encoded bits and put those into the output. So we're going to make a couple of edits in our timeline. The first thing we want is we actually don't want the color bars, as you'd imagine. So I'm going to come here and just use one of our new editing tools to just create a cut in the timeline. And I can now take my initial section with color bars in and just delete it from the timeline. So that's now gone. We've made our first edit. The second thing is Chaz was, we had another shot here where the camera angle was wrong, and Chaz was being a little bit hesitant.
I had some embarrassing moments. Can we edit those out, James?
So we're just going to, I don't know, pick a random position to start with.
Can we see what we're editing out right now? I just have the lines there.
So, well, let's just make another cut. And now we'll show that often when you're doing these kind of edits, and we don't see this as kind of rich craft-based editing. This is really simple, quick editing for the purposes of reduction, for want of a better word.
Good
so
try.
if we click the thing that shows us the cut regions, we can actually now scrub into those regions, and we can go and easily trim the cut points.
Well, it's interesting. Also notice that we cut out a region where we have the script command. So we could lose the script command, or we could move the script command. Did you see that? Yeah.
We could.
It's red. So red is telling us, pay attention, something's going on here.
So a couple of quick and easy edits. As Chaz mentioned, we wanted to then get this published. So we'll go to our Output tab and just pick a template here. And hopefully, if the demo gods are behaving nicely, what will happen when I click Encode is it will take a little bit of time to start up, and it will then do what's called a stream copy. So it's going to take all of the bits that we've kept and stream copy those very quickly.
Wow.
For the gaps, it's then going to stitch. So it will have to re-encode the gaps. I didn't do a very good job there at cutting stuff. So what happens is we preserve the quality of the previously encoded stream, and it's very, very fast. If I'm doing an hour-long show and making a cut down, I don't have to sit waiting for a long encode to happen. So that was very rapid. We've put it inside a Silverlight skin. Now we want to publish it. So
where do you think we should publish it? Remy, do you have any ideas?
We're going to want to publish it for scalability. This is obviously going to be a very, very popular video on the internet. And we want to make sure that people all over the world get a great streaming experience. So we're going to put it on Silverlight Streaming. And the publishing system that we have is pluggable. So for other providers that want to plug in their asset management systems or content delivery networks, they can absolutely code to our API. We do have a sample up on MSDN for those that are interested.
February issue of MSDN magazine, written by Lawrence Moroney, one of the many great people that use Expression Encoder and build great code around it.
So I'm going to go to my silverlight.live.com account and manage my applications. And you'll see I've got a couple of applications in here. If I come over into Expression Encoder and do a refresh, you'll see that we actually have like a REST-based interface that we call, and we can actually manage and see those applications directly from within the product. So if I now come in and give this a name, Chaz Rocks.
Thank you, James.
And hit publish, it basically checks that I've got enough quota available, zips all the files up for me, calls the REST API to publish it, and with luck, we'll have a new application up on Silverlight Streaming. So if I come here and hit F5 to refresh, Chaz Rocks has been published. And what's also quite nice is that we put a little code snippet. So if I now want to go and insert this on a web page in Expression Web or put it on a blog using Windows Live Writer, for example, I can easily take that code snippet. And I can also stream back from the Silverlight service, the Silverlight streaming service, a preview. So to just check that the publish did actually work and to get confidence, I can now see my experience, I can interact with it, and I'm happy and good.
It's actually a little browser session hosted right there in the preview.
So really quick and easy, and I hope, we did a lot then, and it was maybe somewhat overwhelming, but, there's some cool stuff in there.
Well done, James. Thank you.
Well done,
Made me
Chaz.
look good. Well, thank you for the applause, but wait, there's more.
More?
Now how much will you pay? How many of you would like to see an object model? Run it on servers, thousands and thousands of instantiations running on servers that you put into your automation and your great workflow. So we thought we'd make instead of like some big heavyweight kind of boring demo, we thought we'd do something fun. Anybody listen to music here? Watch TV? You want to do it on a portable device? So one of our key developers, Dean Rowe, who's actually quite active on the expression encoder discussions, so you probably have heard of him if you ever participate in those. It took him just, what, a number of days to build this cute little thing with the object model that he's building. And let's go demonstrate it now. Enough talk. Let's get into the demo.
Lots of open windows.
All right, so while James is queuing it up, I will speak.
So what we wanted to do was, really just to sort of show what one of the possibilities of what you can do with the object model, and then just sort of show how easy it was to make. So what we decided to do was a little sidebar gadget that allows me to transcode stuff and put it on my Zune. So I have a little clip here that Chaz shot.
Okay. Go ahead. The new expression encoder is great. Great. It doesn't crash. It works, and even a tech geek like me can work it and have great video out. Thanks. Thanks.
So I don't know how much you paid him to say that, Chaz.
No, that was
nice
impromptu.
clip.
Well, let's show his name. Thanks, Josh. Josh was a great man for offering that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So this is a clip that he shot on his camera phone, and typically camera phones don't use codecs that are widely and easily usable. And in this case, we want to put it on our Zune device, little baby Zune here. And the Zune software probably wouldn't be able to do this. So what we decided to do is make a sidebar gadget. So I'm just going to invoke this. And as Charles said, this is Dean's great work. And what it's done is it's given us two targets here. It's given us a Zune target, and it's given us a media center target. You can have as many targets as you want, and a target is basically represented by a preset, and we'll go and have a look at that in a minute. So in the preset for the Zune, we pick a Zune profile so that it'll just encode nicely. And in this case, we also did an overlay just to show that we're not just doing encoding in the object model, we've got access to all of the richness that we just saw in the demo. So I'm going to take my video and just, in fact, before I do that, let's launch the Zune software. So the Zune software is able to watch a particular folder on the machine, and what the preset does is basically take the encoded file and put it into that watch folder. So we'll drag the video, drop it on there.
By the way, we're running out of time.
And it takes a little while to start up, but it does have rather a nice queuing system. So if I come over here and undock the gadget, you can see that there's an item in the queue. You can now see it processing. So what's happening now is the core DLLs from Encoder have been loaded in here and are being used to process the file.
All the settings that you saw or mostly all the settings that you saw were available in the GUI are running in the object model. The presets, we're actually running a couple of presets on here. So you'll see a result. This is the one we put the alpha video on top, James?
We might have done, yes.
We might have done, yes.
We didn't do a very good job. We did this late last night, had the idea that it would be cool to put the alpha video on top, and we didn't fully get the preset to be nice.
We wanted to prove to you and us that you can use our encoder to get stuff done at the last minute with a client down your back.
So you can see that the watch folder picked up the result.
Okay. Go ahead. The new...
And this is now formatted nicely for the Zune. So over here, you absolutely will not be able to see this, but it is. You can see me afterwards if you don't believe me. But the nice thing is, now that it's encoded, now that it's compatible, it'll copy straight onto the Zune. There's no need to retranscode it. So it's a bit of a cheesy demo, but the point really is to illustrate the power of the object model. Let's just have a look and hop into Visual Studio.
Yeah, and we'll have to do this rapidly because, alas, our time is coming to nearing an end as I see the red blinky light on the session timer going. But we'll publish an SDK for you, and this can be great new business opportunities for a lot of you folks. I know the business people in this room are probably hearing dollar signs as you see this.
So we'll just quickly show you that the DLLs, the core DLLs that do do all the heavy lifting, are registered in the global assembly cache. So if I come down here to Microsoft.expression.encoder, I can just add those three libraries, and then with an incredibly quick and easy set of calls, which are illustrated here. I'm not going to go and go through all of Dean's code, but I can basically create a job, create a media item, which represents the source, call the apply preset method that will load up the XML preset and apply it, and then we'll encode the job. So, pretty simple. We are working on an SDK for this. And you know, we appear in the object browser, we'll have help, we'll have an SDK. And just to stress one more time that you know, everything we saw earlier, the editing, the smart recompression, you know, the overlays, all of that is available from the object model. So whether it's a client-side scenario, a server-side scenario, you're good.
Cool. Did you like that, folks? Did that one deserve applause too? And I really do have to hand it to James, Dean, Warren, Brandon, Kevin, Sam, all the folks on the team doing a great job, because I know they're going to watch this, and whoever I left out, like Dave and Paul, will be angry with me. So please try the beta. Beta's available. Take a look at it. We have the Encoder discussion forums. We'd love to hear from you. Check out our Encoder blog. Again, give us feedback. We're going to post cool, fun things with a weekly tip. James is the guy that runs the blog. Don't forget to fill out your evaluations for the session. And if we have any questions in the few remaining picoseconds. Yes, sir.
I know in your demo that you're using hardware to enable multiple cameras. Is there any way to use multiple sources just in the product?
So the question is there any way to enable doing multiple sources in live mode just in the product? Do you mean like live file, or do you mean file sources?
No, I mean like multiple cameras.
Multiple cameras built into the product? Actually, the product today, you can plug in 2 USB cameras. Should work okay depending upon the power of your USB bus.
It's really limited by the hardware, so the USB bus does get saturated very easily, so you can't really do more than 2 USB cameras, but you could do 2 USB cameras and a FireWire camera. So,
any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Question is can we burn an alpha channel on live? Unfortunately, we couldn't get that feature in this version, but it'll be in the next. It was on the list. Thank you for asking. Well, we plan to put it in the next. I can't guarantee anything. Thank you very much, though, for asking that. And always tell us what's on your feature list and why. I like to call it hitting them over the head with a customer when you guys tell us why you want it. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thank you.